3, 2, 1. You have no idea how happy I am that you got it right this time. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Gilbert Louie Ray, for being here.
Oh, thank you.
How are you?
I'm well. I'm doing well.
Thanks for coming out and doing the podcast.
Oh, thanks. Happy to be here.
Have you done anything like this before? Any type of press, podcasts, stuff?
I've never done a podcast like this with mics and table camera. Okay. I've watched them.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming out. It's the universe is funny, or whatever plane that we're living in here now, because over the weekend we were in the exact same place and we just missed each other probably by just a few hours.
Yeah.
So you were out also in Pioneer Town, USA, doing a gig out there?
Yeah. This past weekend we were there on Saturday playing at the Red Dog Saloon, which is right next to the world famous Pappy and Harriet's in Pioneer Town. And we just played like 3 hours for the patrons there.
How was it?
It was good because the sound was good. And anytime the sound is good, I'm happy. Even if we're just playing for a few people. If you can hear each other, you can hear yourself, you play better. So
when you say when it sounds good, like what are you saying? Like the acoustics in the room?
Well, we actually did play outdoors on their deck. And then
so it was outside.
It was outside.
Oh, okay.
They do inside.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, that's to the left there. It's not pictured, but that was our stage.
Okay. So where you walk in and where the food is, which they have really good food, by the way. We had their beef brisket tacos. Oh my God, they were so freaking delicious.
Too. I had one of each actually.
Yeah? We should have did the one of each thing, Amber.
They were good.
Yeah.
I have a bone to pick with them, but we'll talk about that later.
What's your bone to pick?
That they gave me Valentina.
Oh.
Oh, it was in a packet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't like packet hot sauce.
Yeah, that
I
was
like,
but they were good. The tacos were good. The beer was good. I should have got a cocktail to see how it was, but great place inside. It looks amazing inside there.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like right at home. I don't know if you noticed, there's another side room in there with a TV in there, and they had like the OG Super Nintendo.
Oh,
Super Mario.
where was it? Towards the back?
The opposite side from where the bathroom was. There's a room in there.
Oh,
I didn't go in there.
I walked in.
I saw people playing.
Yeah, where you walked in and you're like, oh, look at there's like more seating and stuff. There's
but I thought the guys that were in there, I did see two guys back there, but I thought they were like working or putting something away. So they must have been playing video games.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what. Yeah, it didn't seem like it didn't seem like inviting to the public.
Yeah,
but you could like peek your head in there and be like,
yeah,
hey, you're playing Super Mario.
Amber was peeking for sure.
I was, and I didn't feel invited, so I didn't go through. You're right.
Well, in the desert, you should be peeking.
It is so freaking cool up there.
Yeah,
like that was our first time out there, and
in that whole desert area.
The desert area. I mean, I've been to the desert before, but that's like Victorville and Apple Valley, but nowhere like what is that?
It's more east.
East. Of Victorville and all the high desert stuff. So, but that's considered high desert as well.
As a kid, I couldn't stand going out there. I was just like, why does anybody want to be in this heat?
That's what I would do.
And the times I went, a couple times I just got nosebleeds, and I'm just like, I'm never coming back. This is the worst place on earth. But then in my adulthood, I grew some kind of love for the desert, and I actually love going. I don't go a lot, but when I do, I'm like, this is great. No more nosebleeds, though.
Yeah,
which is good.
Everyone that like was there, like worked there, or anywhere that we went, everyone was so happy.
Yeah, everyone's happy and nice, and like willing to help you,
inviting and welcoming, and it was the whole vibe up there was just it was awesome. Makes me want to go back again.
You should, and let me know next time.
Yeah, it was like it wasn't too hot up there. I mean, compared to inland over here in the valley type,
Yeah.
but it wasn't too bad.
I didn't think twice about the heat while I was over there. I
No.
mean, because it's also just been so hot in LA anyway.
Yeah,
lately.
exactly.
So it was just, what, 5 degrees hotter? Like, I didn't even.
The stars out there were amazing.
Yeah, we saw shooting stars, and you forget to look
Jesus.
up in LA, I feel.
Yeah.
When you go out there, you have no choice but to be like, whoa, look how many there are. You know? So,
Yeah, I was thinking about like what type of lifestyle does somebody live in the desert? Like what's their daily, like it has to be completely different than somebody living in LA.
I mean, I just hope they get to work from home, stay in that AC
Yeah.
if they can.
Me and Amber were trying to think about like what our life would be like if we moved out there. Like what kind of job would I get? What kind of job would you get, Amber? You're telling me
Oh,
it would be like Ross or something like that?
No, I didn't say Ross.
Oh, okay.
I'd work.
I imagine you in a
at the
Spock.
no.
Smock.
I'd work at the bubble. What's it called? The hair salon.
Oh yeah. You
or
just
like
did
a
TikTok
gallery,
video
or
on
like
it.
an art gallery, or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of art stuff. We got more books than we should have out there at the Space Cowboy bookstore.
Oh,
That was cool.
one.
Yeah, we got like 4 or 5 books from there.
Okay.
Where are they? We need to put them right here in the studio. I got a lot of UFO books,
Nice.
alien stuff, ancient
Oh,
aliens type of stuff.
all right. I love that.
But yeah, dude, it was great. It was a great time.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great time up
Yeah,
there.
it's a great time out there
Yeah.
all the time in my adulthood.
So, how long did you guys stay up there for?
Just a night.
Just a night?
We got out there. So my band's like our producer. He has a house in Palm Springs, so we went to visit him first in the early afternoon. Went swimming, and got all the nutrients sucked out of me from the sun. And then we took about a 40-minute drive to Pioneer Town, and then they set us up with a room there for the night, like as a part of the whole package. So that was really cool. It was walking distance. So it was just a night, and we left around noon the next day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so it was a whole thing. How particular is that they would give you a package like that? Having, I mean, playing a venue and then also giving you a night.
Yeah. That doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah.
But when it does happen, it feels good. It feels like you're doing something right. So that was our first time playing there. So for them to kind of offer all these nice things to us was just nice. Couldn't ask for anything more.
Refreshing.
For just a night in the desert. It was the best treatment I've ever had there.
Did you check their little museum, Pioneer Town Museum? Did you have a chance to walk it at all?
We at nighttime when everything was
Oh,
closing
okay.
down, we just kind of walked around the whole area and looked at the stars and stuff. And
Gotcha. Yeah, they have like a little museum in there. It plays like a 4-minute video of
wow,
the history of Pioneer
I
Town.
wish I had known that.
Yeah, it's really cool. It just talked about how they filmed a lot of spaghetti westerns, different westerns in Pioneer Town.
Yeah, so it was initially it was made by an actor like in the 40s. So they would film a lot of, how like in the 40s, a lot of Western films and things like that. So instead of going to Arizona or New Mexico or traveling, they came upon Pioneer Town and there was nothing there. So they decided to create. So everything you see there, even like the Red Dog, they're all were made for movies. So they were all like movie stages. So everything there is just like, well, not a facade because you can go in there, but they were made for movies. So for years and years and years, they did Western movies until Western movies started dying out. And then they just kind of left it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It sure looks like a movie when you go over there.
Yeah, there was a lot of cool stuff. Even Amber found out what a spaghetti western is. Do you know what it is?
I don't, but what I think of immediately is just a cheaply made Western movie.
Gotcha. Can we Google it? Can we look it up? From what I remember, a spaghetti western is a Western movie that was produced by an Italian director. So they called them spaghetti westerns. Back in the 50s and 60s, a lot of these films were
I guess I should never assume anything.
were popping off. They even have a, what city was it? Was it Morongo Valley? Morongo Valley has a restaurant called Spaghetti Western. It was pretty cool. We went there on, what was it, last night?
Yeah, and they had open mic.
Last night for dinner, and they had an open mic.
Cool.
Yeah, I was going to go up there and do some comedy, but they would have hung me by the end of the night. What is this?
Was not your crowd.
Was not my crowd at all. Spaghetti westerns are a subgenre of westerns whose name references the circumstances and location of their filming. Okay, I am wrong. Generally, a spaghetti western is a low-budget film produced by Italian directors.
You guys are both
We'll meet
right.
you halfway. Then.
Okay, yeah,
You guys are both right.
we're both right. Hence the spaghetti connection, and filmed in Europe, primarily in Almeria and Tabernas Desert. Oh, okay. So no spaghetti westerns in Pioneer Town, I guess. No.
But I learned something new.
Yeah.
We always do on this podcast.
That's what it's for. So tell me about your music. When did you start playing?
When I started playing music in general, I was 11, 12 years old. In middle school, my brother had a drum set in our grandpa's house, my older brother. I didn't know how to play drums, but he'd let me bang on it every so often just because it's fun. Who wouldn't want to do that?
Yeah.
And then I was also, when I got to 7th grade, as my first elective, they offered concert band, and I tried to learn trumpet, but all the trumpets were spoken for. And I'm like, all right, well then, what about the saxophone? And so I learned how to play the tenor sax in concert band, and it was a whole ensemble and stuff. And I did that for 7th and 8th grade. At the end of the year, for the graduation ceremonies, the string people and the winds people got together, never rehearsing together ever, but at the end of the year, because everyone could read music, which I can't anymore, we would play like Pomp and Circumstance and all these other. It was just really an amazing experience to do that, and so young too, you know. Never got to do anything like that again. Then I got to high school. There wasn't a music teacher, but I had already learned how to play the sax. Then I met a friend. He's like, well, you know, why don't you want to join a ska band? I'm like, what's ska? And he goes, do you know Sublime? I go, yeah. And he goes, that's like not ska, but that's a nice introduction to it. So I joined a basically Sublime cover band. Then also, I still love drums, you know. So then I did play drums in high school for other bands. I was really into punk music in high school. I also loved guitar, but in high school days, I can only really do power chords, which is just like one of the easiest ways to play a guitar, I guess, if nobody knows what a power chord is. And then post high school, you know, I was in a few bands, and fast forward a little bit, when I was like 21, 22, bluegrass and country kind of just showed up on my doorstep, which are genres I used to think were the most annoying sounding things I've ever heard. But then one day it just hit me, and I'm like, whoa. And it was a whole vast world of I call Americana music that covers country and bluegrass and blues and even rock and roll. And I was in a bluegrass-esque type band for about 10 years, from 2011 till about 2021. But that kind of dissolved over time because COVID hit, and you know, it was a 6-piece band. No one can get together like we did before. But halfway through that band, I had started to kind of mess around with just writing my own solo stuff in my room and just singing to myself in the corner there. Sorry, I keep moving away from the mic. I won't do that anymore. And then I just figured when the band that I was with for 10 years, when that ended, I was like, this is like probably my opportunity to focus solely on my solo stuff and see what happens. So it's been a few years now since then, I guess. But
what was it about Americana music that grabbed your attention?
The how you can, it's not restricted to Americana music, but I noticed lyrically you can be quite literal to explain what you're feeling, or you can describe a situation that happened or scenery. You know, I just love that. Like, oh, I don't have to be a poet
You don't have to mask
write.
it, right?
Yeah, I don't have to be so prolific to get some decent words off the paper. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can just be
It was that
straightforward.
And then also, it was bluegrass first, and then country. And I liked a lot of the bluegrass, the speed of it. It's kind of practical, although some people would say it's not, because it's also very hard to play sometimes too. But hearing it, it sounds practical, and it kind of reminded me of punk music in the whole the fast changes and everyone's kind of together on as the chords are moving along, and. It was mostly just the lyrics, I guess, and it was just new. Forever it was just distortion, and drums and amps and all that stuff, right? And then things kind of calmed down with that tone.
But that's a big turnaround from punk to bluegrass, right?
Yeah, it is, and especially not growing up with it. I mean, no one in my family likes any of that, and I was surprised that I fell into it. But it's one of the musical loves of my life. And
what kind of music did you grow up like listening to, like in your house? Like what kind of?
So my parents split up when I was 2 years old. I'd go to my dad's house on the weekends from then till my teenagehood, and it was always Beatles, British Invasion stuff, a lot of oldies, Motown stuff from the 50s, 60s, 70s. And then at home, my oldest brother, who's 15 years older than me, he would play nothing pretty much from like just 70s and 80s music. So I have a soft spot for 80s music for sure. Which also sounds like, oh, that's like on the other side of the spectrum,
right,
when it comes to Americana. But so I grew up with just a lot of old music, I guess. In the late 90s, when I was in elementary school, everyone was singing along to Britney and NSYNC, and I'm singing, She Loves You, yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was interesting. But I mean, it wasn't just old music I grew up with. I mean, Nirvana and Green Day hit hard back in those early days. Ramones were like my favorite punk band out of all that stuff. Yeah, that's like the gist of it when it comes to what I grew up with.
Dude, it's always the Ramones that always like grab people. It's so weird.
Yeah. My brother, who let me bang on his drums growing up, he showed me their movie Rock and Roll High School. That's what kind of opened the doors for
That's
that.
right.
And then
totally forgot about that.
And also Jackass 1 came out, and they had a song in there by the Misfits called Hybrid Moments at the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard of the Misfits or even that song, and that was like my anthem, for a good year.
Yeah,
Still is. We actually cover it now, but just a little more bluegrass. Which is
really?
Yeah, it was. We played a wedding last year, and they wanted us to play that song, and I was like,
"Oh, that's cool."
You're really asking me to play the song? Now it's like in our set list.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How often do you do that? Do you take covers of songs and turn them into your type of genre?
Yeah. Like if we're doing a wedding or private parties or stuff like that, those requests usually we learn them. Well, why would we ever forget them? Or sometimes if I like a song, there's certain songs sometimes they don't sound bluegrass, but learn the chords and then you can change it to have the bluegrass rhythm, if that makes any sense. Not all songs you can do that, but what's a good example? Okay, so the song called "What's Love Got to Do with It" by Tina Turner.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
That's a very like R&B, soulful, it's got vibes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, you can take those chords and the melody will still be the same, and you just play them like you would bluegrass. Try it out for any of you guys out there who like that song and like bluegrass, and then, come back.
So
to me.
what's like the, okay, so you say bluegrass, right? And I think of like maybe like one, I don't want to even say song because I don't think I know a song that I can name bluegrass, right? But in my head, I can kind of like kind of jingle something in my head. But for people that maybe have never heard bluegrass or anything, like how would you describe it? Like what kind of instruments kind of are associated with bluegrass, and how would you describe it?
Okay. Yeah. So,
If I was an alien from Mars and I landed in your front lawn and I asked you, what's bluegrass? What would you tell me?
I would say, okay, the instruments that are involved usually is an upright bass, a mandolin, banjo, fiddle, and acoustic guitar. Sometimes people like to add things like harmonica, which I do play in my band sometimes. Sometimes they'll do the washboard thing. Sometimes they'll just add drums sometimes. A dobro, which is just like a guitar on its side and has like a slide sound. Those are like the main suspects in that genre. To describe how it sounds, I mean, think of like if you got a drum set and you're doing it's like bass snare, like do da do da, but then quicken the pace and it's more like cha 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 cha. That could be a club too, you know. It just depends on the instruments you're using. So that's how it sounds. I mean, I'm not gonna do it justice by just making sounds like that, but you also have to like the way those instruments sound. A lot of people think the banjo's annoying. A lot of people love the way it sounds.
Yeah.
You know, it's all just what you like, I guess. But
how often do you bring in the harmonicas? I love harmonica, dude.
When I started solo, to compensate for when I would write a song, I usually would write a part in the song where there's room for a solo, you know, like just a musical part that's no singing anymore. I just brought the harmonica on just because I'm alone and I just me and a guitar,
right.
And I wrote this solo section, so I'll just do a little harmonica. And who doesn't like harmonica?
Yeah.
With the band now, I cut back on the harmonica a little bit just because there's now other instruments who can take the role of the solo. But I mean, I would say it's in about half the set, you know?
Yeah?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So, yeah, harmonica is a lot of fun.
Yeah, and there's like how many different keys of harmonicas? It's not just one harmonica. There's like a dozen.
When I'm playing
types.
live on the mic stand, I have a little tray attached that I like screw on there. And I got about 7 different ones to choose from, depending on the key that we're playing in the song. I talk with my hands a lot, by the way, but whatever.
No, you're good.
Okay.
It's visual.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay. No, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
The last time Harry Katz was here, we were talking about Jimmy Reed. He's one of my favorite harmonica players and guitar players. He plays Chicago blues.
I know the name. I don't know the music.
Yeah.
Sadly.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I had to go to that episode and take a listen to it. It's really cool. They actually cut it out of YouTube.
They took it out?
Yeah, they took that out.
I hate when they do that.
Yeah. They even, I don't know, did I explain this the last time not the last time, but on the podcast, so we showed Harry Katz videos from Jam in the Van, and even though it was the artist we were talking to on the interview, they still cut it out. Huh. Like that part was copyrighted, which was weird. Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, it was weird. I think because it was like property of Jam in the Van or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But it was like the artist. I'm literally talking to the artist.
Right.
Watching his video and they cut it out.
Yeah.
It's super weird how the whole copyright stuff is. It's just it's a whole new world of legality.
Yeah.
Especially with YouTube now.
And they always just make the print so small.
Right.
In the contracts.
It's like the people that talk really, really fast on commercials and they're like,
right. Did you get that?
You're like, yep. You listen to it.
Yeah. Salespeople, when they're selling stuff, they're always fast. There was this fiber optic lady. She was from Frontier.
Oh, I was like,
yeah, she was from Frontier, and she knocked on the door.
Frontier, like the airline?
No, the internet people.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
Frontier.
But I know I won't fly Frontier.
But yeah, she was trying to sell me stuff, and she was like talking really fast. And she was like, "What day can we come in to change your internet?" And I was like, "What? Like, I didn't even know you were here from like a cable company. Like, what are you doing, lady?" Yeah. And she talked me into it. So I guess we're changing our internet next week on the 9th. No, wait, the 9th is in a couple days.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
We don't even know who Frontier is, and you're changing it.
Well,
you gotta gamble, dude.
You know, if it's faster internet, then you made the right choice.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we won't know until we get it.
All right.
So
Good
if the
luck.
Mind Buzz lags on on YouTube, you know why. Just kidding.
It's my fault. But
It's
yeah.
your fault.
Yeah, it's just wild how people sell you stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Besides being a musician and artist, like what other jobs have you done?
I've been a grocery bagger.
Yeah.
I've worked one retail job. I'm not a good salesperson.
Yeah.
So
He's
yeah.
like, I can't talk fast.
Yeah, I'm not going to be selling the internet. If I'm lucky, I'll be able to sell you some music. But I've worked restaurants mostly.
Yeah.
I was a preschool teacher's aide for 5 years.
Oh, nice.
But just that wasn't really my calling. And currently I'm in pest control. So that's what I do to make the money during the day, and then at night I do the music.
Have you always been in California?
Yeah, I was born and raised in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were gonna ask something, Amber?
Oh no, I was. Well, yeah. So because I thought back, I reverted back. But so you said that you do pest control during the day and then music, as your passion.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself eventually, doing music full time? Like, do you think that once that time comes, do you think that you'd want to do that, or would you want to still have another job and then do that on the side?
When that time comes, I think I will be a little fearful because it feels kind of just not too assuring, right? That sort of thing. But it happens sometimes for people, and I'm usually good at kind of jumping in first and then asking questions last. It's not always good, but a lot of good things that have happened for me in my life is because I've taken those risks, I guess you could say. You don't know what's going to happen, but do it because it sounds good right now. You already know what could happen if you say no. But if you say yes, I mean, who knows?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. I do see me doing music full time, definitely. When the time is right.
When the time is right.
Yeah. Until then, I got to meet those LA demands.
Yeah. You gotta have 3 jobs and a side hustle.
Yeah.
I bet you people from other cities and other states probably think that's the wildest thing. Living in Los Angeles and having 3, 4 jobs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Luckily I only have, I guess, 1.5. But a lot of my for the longest time I was only friends with LA natives because after high school you're still friends with your friends in high school, but you go through the 20s. I'm 33 now, and everyone just kind of just goes their own way, and then now the majority of my friends are transplants, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
And I kind of always like why'd you move here? Obviously a lot of people come here for the sunshine or whatever. The weather's better than cold Minnesota or something like that.
Yeah.
But
Cold Minnesota.
yeah. So it's just crazy. If you want to do that, do it then.
You know what else we noticed in Joshua Tree? A lot of people from other states. There was 3 different women that we were talking to were from Portland.
Wow. Well, Joshua Tree's kind of like a tourist place, right? I mean,
yeah.
A lot of U2 fans out there. I know they had that album, Joshua Tree. Oh, so let's go see Joshua Tree, where U2 where U2 was once.
Were they really there? They were there shooting?
The cover.
I wonder if they went to Pioneer Town.
Of them with the Joshua trees.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's like a black and white.
Can we look it up? Yeah. I posted, the first picture that I posted on my Instagram for the weekend, I put a U2 song just to be a jerk. Not a jerk, but just to be trendy, I guess. I don't even listen to U2.
I mean, I don't either. I know that song. I still haven't found what I'm looking for.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh.
But I think this was the late 80s or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1987.
It probably looked like that in 1980s.
Yeah.
Joshua Tree, the city. That's probably where we stayed.
It was only until the new millennium that things started to show in color. So Oh man.
That's funny.
Um,
So how sorry, I have a question now. So how, because I feel like here, or maybe I'm being what is it called? What's the word I want to call
a
myself?
jerk.
A jerk. No. But like how is the bluegrass scene here in Los Angeles? Like, what I'm saying is, like, I and maybe I'm oblivious to it. But is there like a big bluegrass scene? Like, is LA the place to be to play bluegrass? Like,
So there's a scene. So I kind of want to make a little disclaimer that my band, I borrow a lot from bluegrass in terms of the instrumentation and the rhythm of it. But then I also listen to a lot of old country too. So um, there are purists out there who might say that I'm not bluegrass, and I'm not fully bluegrass. Definitely not
Yeah.
traditional by any means. But I just want to say that I do borrow from bluegrass and country, a little bit of rock, a little bit of blues. In case you ever come see us and you're like, that's not bluegrass. So
you can fool me because I won't know
Cool.
the difference.
but to answer your question, in LA, there is I wouldn't say a huge scene, but it's a very tight knit scene. I feel like the country folks and the bluegrass folks kind of all cater to each other. I got a good friend named Kenny. He's in a band called Water Tower. They're definitely more bluegrass than my band in terms of just the way they go about things. And so he's a very good bringer together of people in the scene. You know, he's always introducing other people. And then there's the countryside of it, where another good friend of mine is Ben Riddell, who books out in L.A. Dave Hoffman, who runs the Grand Old Country Bunker, kind of like it's an Instagram page, but they're always hosting shows and stuff. So I'm not sure if it's the place to be for bluegrass, but there is definitely a scene of it growing. People do come to shows to see bluegrass. And in fact, a lot of people, they're not from LA. They'll come and they just happen to walk into a bluegrass show and it reminds them of home. And so that's really nice. But it's there, you know. It's definitely not as big as the hip hop or even electronic music scenes in LA. But the ones who are there, they make you feel right at home.
And plus too, it might be refreshing too, right? To listen to that type of or a different type of music than what you usually listen to, right? So, what other type of bands do you guys play with?
You know, sometimes we'll hop on a bill with a band that sounds like nothing like us.
Oh, yeah?
Which we try to stay away from because we want to keep it
Right.
to the same liking. But we'll play with another band. Ike's Creek is a band that I know, and my friend Corey is the lead man in that. They're like Americana. They got
Okay,
parts
cool.
of bluegrass in there. We'll play with Water Tower, my friend Kenny's band, sometimes. Rosie Nolan, she's more of like a classic country thing. Like, I've always liked to think that country and bluegrass are cousins, and that's why they're able to mesh well sometimes. But they still like to eat at their own ends of the table.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So
Have you ever dived into like the history of bluegrass and country?
yeah, definitely. I mean, so when I just happened to get a banjo one day, and my mandolin player, who was also in that old band I told you I was in for 10 years, he's the only one from that band that came with me and helped me do my thing. He got a mandolin at the same time I got a banjo, and we're like, let's like learn them together because we don't know them too well yet. And then his brother could just play rhythm guitar, and we can just practice our solos. Back in those days, we'd play really slow because we don't want to mess up. Over time, we just got faster about it. But I started to listen to like Earl Scruggs as one of the pioneers of the banjo. So I would listen to him, and he was from like the 1940s and on. The godfather of bluegrass himself is actually Bill Monroe. Sorry, how could I forget his name? I didn't. He's the godfather of bluegrass. He played mandolin. He was also from the 40s era as well. And yeah, there he is. I think he passed away in 1996. But I mean, he started the whole bluegrass. Typically can be fast. I mean, there's slower numbers too, just like any genre. But I like the fast bluegrass because it just gets me going. You know, is that him there with Colonel Sanders?
Where?
Yeah, it is. Yes, Bill Monroe bluegrass.
That's great.
What is it? Hall of Fame inductees. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh yeah, 96.
I was 6 years old.
The mandolin and the guitar.
Yeah, so that's like the beginning era, and then as things went on, I mean, in the 60s and 70s,
There he is.
there's like the Osborne brothers or J.D. Crowe, who were, I think in the 70s, there was a resurgence of the bluegrass, and they called it newgrass or new bluegrass, where things were starting to kind of steer away from the traditional sound. Still had the bluegrass rhythm and everything,
Right.
but they got a little more funky with it, which was, kind of a breath of fresh air. Because sometimes the very first bluegrass stuff can be real dry and real, like, sometimes, okay, but of course, back then, recording quality wasn't always the greatest either.
So it had a big resurgence in the 1970s.
Yeah, like 60s into 70s.
I feel that that's happening now, right? Like with, I guess, Americana, maybe not music, but like fashion. Like, it's so wild to me because even before you got on the podcast today, even before you told me about your story of being over there over the weekend, we're in the same town, same place. I was thinking about like the Western culture is like kind of coming back, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that resurgence of cowboy boots and cowboy hats and country music. It's like it's coming around again.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of cowboy hats in LA right now.
Is there?
And
Yeah.
boots.
Yeah.
And
Everyone's
boots?
like 6'5" too. I don't know what to do.
Like, damn it.
Yeah.
That's funny.
See, I need to get me a Tejana, dude. Some
Yeah.
boots.
So you're gonna be a Mexican cowboy.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a Mexican cowboy.
You're gonna be a vaquero,
What is that?
a cowboy in Spanish.
Oh, okay. But why isn't it? Why there's no? What? How do you say cow in Spanish?
Vaca,
Oh, okay. Never mind. I was thinking of horse. Horse is caballo.
caballo.
Never
No,
mind.
vaca. It's the same thing because cow.
Do you speak Spanish?
Boy.
I don't.
No.
I mean, I can understand it more than I can hold a conversation.
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure.
I can't.
Not even understand it.
A little bit.
Just maybe one words and.
Just a little bit, right?
Yeah.
When she's yelling at me, I get it.
Oh.
You've come a long way because now you understand me a little more. But
Because I have to, because you're giving me directions in the car at the wrong moment.
My brain speaks two languages. I'm sorry. That's funny.
Yeah, it's the resurgence of fashion, and then
But I feel like
The
that always
music.
happens. Like it's like things. Even like look at like the 90s, right? I know it's not a good example, but it is a good example. Like the 90s, all the fashion. Like I was born 1990.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, you said you were 33. I was like, oh, I'm turning 33 at the end of the year. But everything that was within like in the 90s, like fashion wise, like the little crocheted tops and like the chunky sandals, and even for guys, like it's all coming full circle again. You go into
Yeah.
the stores and everything's 90s or early 2000s
yeah.
all over again. And then it's like it just keeps recycling, like fashion
Yeah.
and music. It recycles. It just goes through periods of time where it's like dormant, like maybe like 10, 15, maybe even 20 years. And then it's like, boom, here we are again.
that kid at the Matador Gallery, dude, he looked like he just walked out of like a Soundgarden music video.
Wow.
Yeah. It was
Yeah,
it was
I can see
trippy.
that.
Oh,
Like
the one that had the pants, like
yeah.
yeah.
When I seen him, I was like, "Whoa,
You know what I see a lot of?
where are you from?"
People, it looks like a lot of the dudes dress, in LA at least, everyone's dressing like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air
Mm,
from the 90s.
really?
Yeah. Well, it looks that way to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just looks like a Will Smith shirt.
You're like, hey, you know who he is?
So yeah, it's definitely coming back, like 90s.
Yeah.
Which is what, like that 30 years ago? This is wild to me.
33 years ago. if
Like
you're
what we
1990.
grew-
Start of it.
what we grew up with
Yeah.
is now like Gen Z kids are.
Thinking it's
Yeah.
hip and cool and
We're like, we already did that.
Yeah, it's
maybe,
like
maybe new. I don't know.
I wonder. I feel like is that what happened to like all the like the baby boomers when everybody was dressing rockabilly like the 1950s? I
Oh,
wonder
yeah.
if they felt the same way. It's like
I-
I care what
and-
you're
and
doing,
now-
dress
and-
like that.
And now I can see ourselves to where like we've been there, done that, right? Like you're like, okay, I don't want to rewear that or anything like that. And then now you come off as like, oh, look at she's wearing mom jeans, or oh, look at that man. Like now they look at us like adults, and that's how we looked at like, the generation that maybe we wore their items. And now I'm like, dang, I'm a señora in someone's eyes.
Yeah.
I'm not cool anymore. I think that's what's happening. Definitely.
I was called old the other day by my 6-year-old nephew, which is, I guess, fair. What does he know? But I'm older than him, so.
But you don't feel it, right?
No, I don't. I feel just as sprung as I was when I was maybe not 23, maybe like 26.
Yeah.
Do you believe that you are old as how you feel?
I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that. I feel like society's always cramming down in your head, like, oh, dirty 30, or they always say something about every age, right?
Yeah.
No going back, all downhill from
Yeah.
here. And I'm like, why would you put that out there? Like, you can. I see like these 70-year-olds like running still sometimes, and it's just like it's life's how you make it, not what other people tell you it's gonna be. You know what I mean? You will get old. Obviously, we're gonna deteriorate and eventually become dust again, right? But, you don't have to be like thinking about it all the time. Oh shit, dust o'clock's coming.
Getting dustier by
Yeah.
the day.
I mean, definitely if your back's starting to hurt because you've been sitting in a chair too long, maybe you should stand up for sure because you are 33.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be like, I'm gonna die tomorrow. I guess. I don't know. I just don't. Once you start believing that sort of thing, I'm too old, or I'm getting old, or I can't do this, I can't do that. You're just setting your fate up.
It
I
gets
think.
depressing. Like, I hate when people do that. Like, oh, my man, I'm going to be 34.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Shut up, dude. Get up.
That's-
Drink some water. How about that?
That's what I'm saying.
But we were even having this conversation the other day where as kids, like I always thought of like my teacher or my parent, right? Like my dad was 20, or my parents were like 20 when they had me. So I was like 10 years old around this time. I was 13 when they were this time. But I see my parents and I think like, oh, they had it together. Like, as a
Yeah.
kid, you think adults have it together and they're the most well put people and everything's great and they figured life out. Like they found the fucking formula. And now I'm here and I'm like, I did not find any fucking formula. Like
Yeah.
everybody's struggling just like me. Like, and it's
Yeah.
crazy. It's crazy to think like that was your perception as a kid, was like you seen an adult and you just thought this is an adult and everything is gravy. And now it's like, shit, I'm an adult. Sometimes
Yeah.
I forget.
Yeah.
Mentally, I'm still 23.
Mhm.
Just want to throw that out there.
Yeah.
I think.
That's okay.
Maybe
But
14,
physically,
50.
you can't-
Physically,
Physically, you can't stay out till 4 a.m. drinking. all night,
yeah,
can you?
physically, I'm like 73 and a half.
Yeah.
I have a friend he's like 70, he's over 70.
Yeah.
And this fucker still hikes. Like, he's still,
This fucker.
this
Yeah.
old fuck still rides bikes. He like mountain bikes.
That's what I'm
He
saying.
runs. He's a creature, dude. Like, he is crazy. He gets in a Scooby-Doo van, dude, and he drives up the coast to like Washington and Oregon. He's living the life, dude. But this guy, like, the reason why I say fucker is because Bill, he's like a close friend to me. Like, he's really close, and he's always like texting me, sending me pictures. Hey, like, I'm kayaking. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I'm over here on like my laptop, fucking hating life, and he's 70 years old, retired,
Yeah.
and fucking canoeing and shit. I'm just like, that's badass, dude. I want to be Bill
Yeah.
when I grow up.
But you should be Bill now.
Yeah, I should.
Because you don't know if you'll make it to Bill's age. Right?
Yeah.
I don't need that kind of negativity in my life right now.
That was motivation, not
No, I know. No, of 100%. Yeah. I mean, I should do that. You don't see that very often.
No.
I mean, maybe you do, but at least not in my culture, not my family. 70 years old, you're living with family members, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Watching their kids at 70 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do that. Fuck no.
Yeah.
I'll probably kill me now if I have to do that. Because I'm not.
Don't do it.
I won't do it.
Even if they beg.
No. Shoot me. Take me out back.
Instead of watch their kids. Well, kids are a handful, so.
Oh my God.
That's why I left the business. No, it was my boss.
Oh. You're like, it wasn't the kids, it was the adult.
It's always the adult.
But yeah, you're as old as how you feel, man. Like I 100%, I believe that.
I mean, I think it's smart to take into consideration, like, yes, feel as young as you want to, but also realize, like, you can now break your hip at 70 a little more easier than at 25.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
It's just your mental needs to stay there with you. You know what I mean?
I think when you buy a deep tissue massager, you got to tone it down now.
Yeah.
We just bought one and it's great.
Deep tissue massager. Is it the gun thing that goes real fast?
Like,
yeah. Those are awesome.
That thing helps so much.
Yeah. Yeah. My little brother has one. And we don't hang out, so I never get to use it. I mean, we hang out sometimes, but I forget to ask him
You only hang
about
out
it.
to use his gun.
Yeah.
It's like, you could borrow it, dude. You don't have to come visit me.
The thing is, if I borrow it, I'm not going to want to give it back.
Got it.
Yeah. Those things are costly.
They're pretty economical. I'll send you a
Well, the
coupon.
one he got was
Oh,
military grade. I don't know.
we found one for $50.
Yeah, it's doable.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Yeah, it's
Right?
not bad.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
For working arms, dude. You can't put a price tag on working limbs.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't.
Oh, you need them.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do without some of them. Yeah, you can do without any of them. But I want them.
Yeah.
So let's keep them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
$50 is nothing.
Yeah, $50.
Yeah.
$50 ain't bad. That's how much the one that you have?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not bad.
No,
That's
it's
nice.
portable.
And it has that attachment, right? That looks like a U.
Yeah.
Do-do-do. Okay. So it's not just like one
No, it
attachment.
has like 5 attachments.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
We hardly get to talk, like, so we
don't just
Cover
live
some
with each
ground.
other.
Cover some
we
ground
hash it
now.
out right here.
Yeah.
Did you get that grocery list going
Oh my God, I
today?
think you forgot the oat milk.
No, I got that
Nice.
on the way from Wendy's.
Thanks. Hey,
Today.
don't be telling anybody who went to Wendy's. We're supposed to be eating healthy.
It's the weekend, dude.
It's Monday.
It's Monday. It's still the weekend somewhere. Maybe.
Who made up weekdays, anyways? Do you buy into that? Like, oh my God, another bad case of the Mondays.
Oh.
Do you feed into that type of negativity?
He's like, yes.
No. I mean, it just depends on the day itself.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with. Remember in 2016, we were losing all these celebrities to death? Well, I do. And, that was the year.
When?
It started with Bowie, and then everyone just went out. Farrah Fawcett, I think, was there.
Jeez.
But anyway, everyone, in the stories were like, fuck you, 2016. Fuck you. I'm like, 2016 didn't do it. It just so happens
Yeah.
all these people are dying. I don't know why, but it ain't the year.
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait 4 more years, dude. You guys are in
Yeah,
for
yeah,
one
yeah.
thing.
Well, they did the same thing. COVID breaks out, and they're like, fuck you, 2020. No.
Man, that's crazy, huh?
Yeah.
We didn't know what was coming.
That's 4 years, right?
So you mentioned that during 2020, right? During COVID is when your other band kind of like you stopped. Did it break up or
We just kind of had to hit the brakes because of the whole COVID thing.
Yeah.
We were like, I think we were kind of in the middle of recording like an album, and then it hit, and then we stopped. I think we just finished tracking everything, or at least most of it. Then we couldn't meet up anymore. And we did eventually finish those songs. But then when things started to open up more in like later 2021, there was so much time of not hanging out that nobody even brought up like, are we going to get back together? Are we going to play a show soon or something? There were little things, but I kind of just kept quiet on it because I was already starting to get the ball rolling on my thing. And I'm like, this is the catalyst for me to do now what I think I actually should be doing. I played banjo in the band. I wasn't the writer or the singer. But I enjoyed writing and singing way more than I enjoyed playing banjo, is the truth. And so I just kind of saw that as a way to just focus on that. And I didn't even put any effort on trying to get things back together with the old crew, you know, not out of spite, not out of anything like that. I just felt it was a good decade with that band, and I learned a lot. I was actually even a founding member of the band, and it was good times for sure. And I would still play it again today, but it could never be my main squeeze, like my main squeeze, is now. Yeah. So
it was something positive came out of.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely. I was always writing, I guess, at least the second half of that whole experience with the band. But then when I could just really only focus on that, I was writing better than I had ever been before. So
I was watching this interview from Howard Stern with what's the drummer from Nirvana? His name is
Dave Grohl.
Yeah, with Dave Grohl, and he asked him like his thoughts on like how his success happened after Kurt Cobain, like that happened. And like he asked me, he was like, if Kurt Cobain would have never committed, did what he did, like, would there still be a Dave Grohl? It was just wild to me he would ask that, but also like I did understand it, right? Like he took that opportunity to go on his own, journey musically.
And I think he did it kind of right away.
Yeah, he
if
did.
He had waited 10 years after Kurt's death, people would be like, oh, the drummer from Nirvana has a band now, but it might not have been as big. I could see that happening.
Who did he go to play with? He played drums for like another band too, right? Do you know?
I don't know that.
Can you look that up? I want to see Dave Grohl's who he played with. But yeah, it was just that question was just loaded. I was just like, because
you're asking Dave Grohl himself or whoever it was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a heavy one, I think.
Yeah, because
it makes you think if Kurt didn't die,
right?
He might not have had his
and then
career,
plus
right?
that was his like one of his best friends too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then he asked him if he did, Foo Fighters in 1994.
Wow.
Yep, yeah.
94 already, he was getting stuff out?
Yeah.
That's the year. So 1990 to 1994 was Nirvana.
Wow.
And then Foo Fighters. And then Queens of the Stone Age.
Wow.
He was in, I guess actually, that rings a bell. I think he did play drums for the first or second album, Queens of the Stone Age.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, so now, how do you feel like having so much like creative freedom? What's the dynamic? I guess my question is like, what's the dynamic between you and like your bandmates, like people in there? Like, how is everyone a piece to this puzzle that is your band?
Well, we'll start with Bill, the guy who plays mandolin, who I learned banjo and we learned together. I was saying, he was in our original band, which was called Wicklow Atwater, by the way. So being a founding member, we were 6 of us, but 4 of us were the founding members. Since there were 4 baby daddies, We always kind of had to come to a decision together that we could agree on, you know. Whereas now, though I do listen to the suggestions and the creative ideas that my current band has, it's just nice to know that, I mean, I'm not like, I don't know, how do you not sound like a dick to say this, but I get to make the final call, I guess, which is just nice, you know. But there's things sometimes that the others in my band now, when they do tell me things or bring up certain ideas, I didn't think about that, but what a great idea. Let's actually go with that idea because it's a great idea. You know what I mean? So it's not like I'm closed off to the whole sharing of
Right.
the, you know, decision making on the creative level. But I definitely bring fully written songs to the band just ready to go. And then they learn them, but then they add their own little cool things to it, you know. Whereas the old band, I'd bring, or anyone would bring, a small progression to the table and then add things. Let's go to this part now instrumentally. Our singer at the time, he only wrote, so he was the just sole writer of it, and that's how that worked. But this current band, I'm basically at the head of the
Right.
helm.
Did you ever write something like in your old band? Did you ever write something and
Yeah.
like present it?
Yeah, actually. And yeah, so the first song I brought to him was called "Come On Over." I said that I had worked as a preschool teacher's aide. There was a mom there that I had a crush on, and basically I wrote a song about her, and it's called "Come On Over." And I still play it with this band because I wrote it. It's just, you know, I could still perform it. It's like my cougar song, as I say. Nothing ever happened between she and I, but I mean, you know, it's a fantasy song, and I'm not even saying anything crazy in the song. I'm just saying like, you're awesome. Yeah, so I wrote that, and I wrote 2 songs while in that band. So since the lead singer in that band at the time only sang and wrote, I was playing banjo. We would split up the verses. So I brought the whole song to the table for them to learn. That's just kind of how I do it. It's kind of hard sometimes for me to co-write with other people because it sometimes takes me a long time to write a song, and just it's all about like what I'm feeling personally. And though you could communicate that with someone else and they can lend something in, it's just kind of never been that way. But yeah, so I wrote 2 songs for that band, and we would switch off on the verses, which kind of gave it a nice like variety of voices. You know, people like that, I think.
From from writing a song to like fully mastered and produced, like how long does that take? Like how does that work? Like it blows my mind, like the instrumentation of like, because there's 4 people working on one song, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
how do you even like navigate everybody to fit? Like you have a vision of how a song is gonna, the tone of the song, the sound, the vibe, whatever you want to call it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how do you get to that point? How do you get to your vision of what that song is?
Of like what I want to hear with the instruments.
Yeah.
Um,
With just like, if you're writing a song, you have it like you have a vision of what you want it to be.
yeah.
Does it ever pan out that way? Does it change along the way?
It usually will pan out the way I think it's gonna be in my
Mhm.
head. Little things will be changed along the way because you're adding the instruments like physically in real time,
Right.
when everyone's learning the song. Most of the time, it'll be like how I thought it would be.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just now. It just sounds bigger because now we have fiddle and mandolin and bass, and sounds fuller rather. Sorry, did I spit that way? Anyway, yeah. So and then from when they learn the song, and we'll play it a lot of times in our shows, it just becomes second nature over time, and everyone's familiar with it. Then we decide that we'll record it, and then the recording part, so we recorded an album. We started last October, and we're just doing kind of singles as we go. We just released one in June called Her Company, and that was the first one we put out as this group. Which, so the way we recorded it was, we did it in my apartment, My bedroom, we just isolated the bass by himself in there. The hallway has some like sliding doors, so we put the fiddle in there, and the mandolin and I were in the living room. And of course, we try to treat the place kind of like how this is, as best we could to contain the acoustics. Try not to have too much bleeding in the other microphones, because we record live. Once
You record like all together
like
live?
1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go. What's remarkable though, I find I'm like impressed by my band. I don't sing while we're recording the instrument parts, so that way we can just focus on the singing later and mix it as best as possible. But I'm like very proud of them that they can remember the melody in their head and play the whole song, even when we're not in the same room with each other. We can hear each other in headphones. But I think that's pretty cool that we could do it that way. So we did a bunch of songs that way. So we record it, and then I took the for the vocal sessions, we go to an actual studio. His name's Phil Rohr in Atwater Village here in California. He has a studio, kind of like a back house thing like this, where he just records in there. It's a full-on studio, and we just did the vocals in there. And then he mixed and mastered it. I've taken the songs to be mastered by other people too in the past, but we're just gonna roll with him because we're also trying to do this on a budget.
Oh yeah, of course.
The reason why we recorded everything in my place is because I have the means to record at least the 4 of us live, with the treatment that's required. But after a certain point, my skill set hits a point, and I'd rather go to like professional, especially for vocals.
So kind of like backing up, I guess, because I thinking of the question that Gil asked, and then I'm also thinking like, so when you come up with a song, right? So you're coming up with the song, and kind of like what you were saying, Gil, where you were saying like you think of, okay, the banjo is gonna sound like this, right? Do you have to play? Do you like write out music like for the banjo? Like are you writing music for every instrument, or is it just you present them the lyrics and then your band kind of comes up with what it's gonna sound like? Like so, like what's that creative process like?
Usually I'll just bring it with the singing and the guitar, and then obviously they play their instruments, so those are gonna be in the song. But there's some songs where we added banjo, or we just recently recorded an accordion on a song of ours that none of us could play accordion. We had somebody come in and do it. We just think of things and like, would this sound cool? Would this sound cool? Before we get the actual instrument, even times in the past, I have just brought out my MIDI keyboard and got the fake sounds of that instrument to hear what it would sound like with that, even though that's not the real instrument. And then eventually I want the real deal though, but, and what I love about the band is that they're just always giving ideas or giving feedback. And most of the time it's good stuff. And we have a great dynamic in that sense.
Okay. That accordion thing sounds cool. I like accordions.
Yeah.
'Cause you don't hear it in any, like, me having the Mexican culture heritage, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's prevalent. That instrument is prevalent in banda and corridos and
Like
all that.
Oh, yeah.
Norteños. It for me, it's weird. Not weird, but it's just looking at that instrument gives me a new appreciation for it because it's in other genres too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, particularly that instrument came from Germany, and that's a German instrument, right? That came from polkas. And norteños took it from those genres. I just love to see it in other different works of art and music.
It's really cool when you can take something that's a traditional instrument for somewhere else in the world, and then you bring it to something else that normally doesn't have it, and when it works well, it's just so pleasing to the ears.
Yeah,
definitely.
Have you ever went back and played sax?
A little bit here and there.
Yeah.
When I play sax now, I can't.
And you said alto?
Tenor. Yeah.
Okay.
Just don't expect me to do any like Kenny G stuff. Now it's just something I could maybe just do for recording.
Okay.
I can't do it live. I don't play it enough to be like, I know where everything is still.
Those reeds are tricky.
They can be.
Yeah.
Yeah. It takes a lot of mouth strength, and then also your fingering.
You know what takes a lot of mouth strength? Brass instruments.
Yeah.
That is
I can
wild.
never get those ones down. I tried.
Those are wild. Especially they don't have keys. Like you have to
Right.
especially a trombone.
Yeah.
Fucking no keys. Everything is your mouth and just your
And
muscle
You
memory.
better find the right spot for that note.
That's just
yeah.
weird.
The sax, all the keys are laid out.
Yeah,
for you.
everything.
Or like even a piano, right?
Everything.
It's like that. But with those brass instruments, like I think the way it works is the tighter your mouth is, the higher pitch of a note you will get. And of course, I'm not really sure how on a trumpet there's only 3. I don't know how it works. I stayed away. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like keys, the keyboard, you can just sit there and like everything's on there.
It's just laid out in front
But
of you.
then also they have the sustain. You can, they have the pedals for like the amount of pressure that you put on the keys. There's a lot of different nuances, especially with piano, grand piano and all that.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Pianos.
Do you play guitar too, right?
Guitar is the one I play in the band. And yeah, I can't like write songs with any other instrument.
Really?
Usually. Yeah, it's just weird. It doesn't feel right. Not that I play anything else as like proficiently as the guitar. Maybe the banjo, but even with banjo, I don't like singing with a banjo. I love the guitar, and I think the reason why is because with guitar, you have your bass end, your bass notes that you can manage while also just maintaining rhythm and then singing, and it's like, it's great.
Even the stand-up bass doesn't have tabs. Like you have to use muscle memory and where your fingers
you mean like
are.
the fret, like
on
the spaces?
The frets. I'm sorry, they're not tabs. They're frets.
Yeah, no, but I know what you mean. Yeah, and that is called intonation. Fiddle, violins have the same thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's right. You have to be precise, and that takes practice, I guess.
Right.
I can play upright better than I can play violin. I'll tell you that.
Gotcha.
But the upright's like a guitar in terms of the tuning. So that's why I kind of get by with it.
Gotcha.
Fiddle's a whole other tuning, and then sounds like a dead cat. I have one, but it just stays on the wall.
So what's the difference between a violin and a fiddle? Is there a difference, or is it just the different names?
I think the way it started is people who couldn't play violin fiddled with it.
Oh.
And then eventually it became a thing because they played it so much, they had to have gotten better.
Right.
So and then I'm not exactly sure where it originates, the term, or even
can we look that up?
The whole thing, but
gotta learn that. Fiddle.
But I think that's what it is. Like, at some point in time, they couldn't play the violin, but they knew what they wanted to do, maybe, and so they were just fiddling with it. And in bluegrass and country,
Western Europe, the medieval fiddle emerged in the 10th century Europe, deriving from what is that? Byzantine era, ancient Greek. Whoa, that's a lot.
Wow.
A bowed string instrument from the empire and ancestry of most European bowed. So it's bowed. Bowed instruments. Bowed? Is it bowed or bow?
Bowed.
Bowed, right?
Because that thing is a bow.
Yeah.
And
oh, there we go. The Old English fideli, denoting a violin or similar instrument. Originally not an informal or depreciatory term, related to Dutch, German, fiddle, bass, and Latin. I have no clue what that means. Did you get any of that?
I didn't.
No?
We'll just roll with what I said.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
You're right. You're right. Wait, hold on. What about that one? When the term fiddle Yeah, there we go. When did the term fiddle originate?
Where?
First
right there.
one.
Right
People also ask. Play upon a fiddle, from fiddle, the figurative sense of to act nervously. Never mind. Yeah, fiddle. Yeah.
See?
Screw it. I can't find it. It's fine. What you said sounds perfect, and I believe that.
See, held in an idle, ineffective way because they couldn't play violin, right? They're not going to do concertos or whatever.
Okay, one more thing. Why is it called a fiddle instead of a violin? There we go. Second one down. I'm gonna get this. A violin is sometimes informally called a fiddle, regardless of the kind of music being played with it. The words violin and fiddle come from the same Latin word, but violin came through the Romance languages, and fiddle through the Germanic languages. Oh,
Still didn't.
So my fiddler, her name, and by the way, the band is Bill Lupton on mandolin, Phoebe Silva plays the fiddle, and Patrick Torres plays the bass. But Phoebe, who plays fiddle in the band, plays violin first. When she's with us, she plays fiddle. She could probably give you a better definition of all this because she grew up with it. I mean, she's been playing since she was a little kid. But I mean, we have a music video out where she's on it, and you know, it's just fiddly.
Fiddly?
Yeah, it's just fiddly. It's not, you know, it's not a violin. I mean, I feel like I don't know how to explain it. It's just something you hear and see. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I can hear a fiddle, but I can't hear a violin. Or I can feel a fiddle, but I can't feel a violin.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I guess yeah.
Well, I guess. I mean, do you write for the violin too?
No. So unless I hear something specific, like a little like jingle in my head, can you just do this with your fiddle or mandolin, whatever? Then they usually will do it. But when I give them a song, they'll learn the song, and then when it's your solo time or something, anything you think that could fit there, have at it. You know, because you should shine too, even though I'm writing the songs.
Where does most of your inspiration come from when you're writing music?
Oh man, just like
besides your cougar crush,
right? I mean, like I'm either writing about bad romance, a little too much drinking, family affairs, stuff like that. It just comes from anytime I'm kind of feeling low. I've tried to write some happy songs. I have maybe a couple. But when I write songs because I'm sad or I'm mad, to me they've always bit harder than some happily ever after love song, whatever. You know what I mean? And I think maybe they do bite harder because so many people probably go through much more heartache than they do, you know, heart fulfilled love. I don't know, you know. The inspiration just comes from personal situations, basically.
Right. Yeah, I get that. Because when you're happy, like you're just super in the moment that you don't really take inventory of how you feel, like being happy. But when it's the other way around, when you're depressed or when you're sad, you're fucking in it, dude. Yeah. And that's all you can think about. Like when you're happy, you're like, oh yeah, I'm happy. Okay, what's the next thing? What's going on? But that's how I am when I'm happy. I say that exactly. But when you're sad, dude, it's just you're in the hole, and that's all you can think about.
It's just more powerful. The feelings of sadness and despair and all that. Just at least for me and many people probably, it's more impactful.
Yeah, and then plus that resonates with people.
Yeah.
Right?
A lot of sad folks out there.
Yeah.
I mean, and most of my songs, the lyrical content is actually pretty sad, but I make the songs kind of happy and upbeat. Like they sound happy, but the lyrics are kind of dreadful sometimes, you know? Which kind of, if you're not listening to the lyrics, then you're going to think it's just a happy song. But then sometimes people do listen to the lyrics, and they'll come up to me after a show or something and tell me like, this resonated with me or this did, and you know, and it's kind of nice to share that with people, whether I know it's going to help them or not. It's nice to know that like my pain was understood in a similar way by a stranger sometimes, and it's a nice reminder to know that we're all here together. You know, we all go through a lot of the same things.
Yeah, and especially when it's music, when you can hear like somebody like at least for me, when I found that out about like music, what music can do like with your feelings, was when I heard it was a Johnny Cash song, and I heard one of his songs. I can't remember which one it is, but I was like, "Whoa, this this is exactly how I fucking feel.
Yeah.
This is fucking weird.
Yeah.
And this guy has been dead for like a decade. It's fucking crazy
Yeah.
what that can do to you.
And it's amazing.
Yeah.
I think as human beings, we're lucky we have art. Because if not, I don't know how else we would deal with our, emotions, happy or sad.
Right. What did people do back in the Paleolithic ages when they were sad? That's crazy.
I don't know. Were they smart enough to get sad yet?
I don't know.
I think we talked about this, right? Of where did they know depression and
that was a crazy talk that we had about. Go ahead, since you brought it up.
No. We were just talking about back like Neanderthals and our ancestors, if you want to believe that, but
Mm-hmm.
about like trauma or even like depression and anxiety. Like, did they have depression and anxiety, or is depression and anxiety something
New.
new? Like not like
To
new,
humans.
but like to our type of humans. Like, is that new? Does it come with technology? Does it come with things like that?
Right.
Like is that kind of associated? And did they feel depression and anxiety? We don't know the answer, but that was a conversation we were having.
I wonder if the only thing that could be in their minds is like, are we going to eat again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no time to. I don't think they're falling in love. I think they definitely know that they had to reproduce and they need to eat
Yeah.
Yeah.
to get things going.
I think that was in their mind. Like they had there are two things. They had to eat, they had to survive, three things, and then they had to have sex.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those three things.
Yeah. Like we don't know for sure what emotions they felt. Maybe there's some study on that somewhere, but I would think the bare necessities was probably at the forefront of their desires.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, because I don't think they were looking at their neighbors and be like,
Hey.
like jealousy and just
Yeah.
like their hut is way cooler than my hut, or their hut is bigger than my hut.
Yeah.
Their fire is bigger than mine.
Yeah. That's who knows when that started,
Yeah.
but
We don't know.
When TikTok started, dude. That's when that
that's what
happened.
happened.
That's when your anxiety and depression started?
I'm serious. They've done studies on social media and like children and kids and just our age, people our age, and the effects of social media on like our cohort as a generation, or our emotions as a generation, with and without social media.
It's what's cool about being this age is that we got to experience life without the internet.
Yes.
For a good moment.
Yeah.
For our more impressionable years, I'd say. And then we got to get introduced to it, adapt to it. Now it's really a part of our lives and how we, get the word out and whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you how many things I've bought just from ads on Instagram alone. But I mean, back then you would just see it on TV instead, I guess.
Right.
A toy you wanted.
Or a magazine. Did you ever? I think we had this conversation too. Did you ever see the big book of Toys R Us? That's how I used to ask for gifts for Christmas.
I don't think
They used to like mail this big like book, and it was just full of toys.
maybe I did.
And then I would just circle, and that's how I said what I wanted. And now it's like my nephews send me their Amazon wish list, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ.
Their little kids
Yeah, they're
who
kids.
have an Amazon wish list.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So it's definitely it is. But it's nice that we got to see the evolution of to what it is now, right? Because we got to experience life without it, and then still kind of emerge.
Like the
into
how-to videos. Like you look when I want to know something or I need to figure something out, I instantly go to YouTube or Google.
Yeah.
Imagine if I had that when I was like 6 or 7. That'd be fucking wild. I'd be like a rock scientist right now.
Probably. Yeah. You build your own house.
Yeah. Build my own studio.
You
It's
wouldn't
crazy.
You wouldn't have broken what'd you break? Your wrist or something?
What?
Wrestling.
What about it?
I say you wouldn't have broke it because you would have been building something else and not playing.
That too. That would have happened, but I still would have broke my wrist. But I would have Googled how to like treat a broken wrist because my family did not want to take me to the hospital.
Oh man.
It took them a while, huh?
It took me a while. I was like, it hurts. Like it hurts. They're like, no, you're fine. You're fine. Like,
How old were you?
I think I was like 8 or 9.
Oh man, I broke my right arm when I was 9 playing tag on roller skates.
Tag. Let's see. Look at least his story is cool.
But they took me to the hospital right away.
Yeah, no.
I broke my nose.
Rub it in, dude.
Oh shoot.
Rub it in. Go to the hospital.
Oh, I didn't get taken to the hospital on my first nose break.
No.
My Nina was a nurse, and she's like, I can pop it back in place. It'll be fine.
Wow.
And I got it popped right back in place. I was 12 years old.
Dang. She did it right there after it happened?
Yeah, but that's why I can't breathe now.
Oh yeah.
Maybe you should have went to the hospital.
2 broken noses later, and
It would happen twice.
it happened twice.
I hope it never happens to me.
No. No, because then the second time that I broke it, I went to the hospital. I was in the emergency room for 9 hours, and they gave me Advil, and he's like, I can't do anything. He's like, you're too young. You got to wait till you're 18.
What?
Your nose fixes on its own. Yeah, that's what he said.
Wow. I didn't know that
So
one.
they don't do anything unless it's like crazy, like turning the other way. They'll just kind of pop it back in, but there's nothing that they can do. They just give you medicine and send you home.
Mhm.
So don't break your nose.
Try not to.
Yeah. When you're around town playing your instruments, don't remember that.
Yeah,
break
I'll
your
remember
nose.
that. You want to hear a funny story? One time with the old band, we were playing somewhere, and we were about to start a song like right away, and I was like trying to take a gulp of my beer, like, can I squeeze this drink in real quick before we start? And like I was so like, they're gonna start, but I want to drink my beer. And so what happened was I grabbed the bottle and I just went gink. And so like I got it fixed later, but I chipped my tooth, and it kind of looked like a Lloyd Christmas from the movie Dumb and Dumber. And then they didn't even start the song because obviously this guy just broke his tooth. Like it was all for nothing, really. That's great, right?
Did you guys play like right
We ended
away?
up playing. No, and
Yeah.
also I was in no pain. I was just like, oh, that sucks.
Did it like fall out of your mouth? Did you?
I couldn't find the piece.
Oh shit!
It was just like a slant, just taken away, basically. I was like, wow, no blood, no pain.
Wow.
I'm like, well, this sucks. It was for nothing. Let's start the song now, you know?
You're all whistling through. Trying to whistle.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Teeth are weird, dude. That's the one thing. I think that's like the only bone like in your body that doesn't like regrow
Oh, man.
or something like that.
Yeah,
I
it's your
heard.
teeth.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
That's too bad. Kids, take care of your teeth because you could buy. You're gonna have to buy some later. I'll probably have to do that too.
probably me
gone.
too. Who knows?
Yeah,
We'll see.
once they're gone.
So what
right?
happened to your tooth? Did they put a?
It's just like a cap, and
Oh, okay, got it.
now it looks like everything's normal.
It does.
But I have the mustache, so in case I just want you to definitely be distracted.
Got it.
No questions asked.
That's
Gilbert Louie Ray, thanks for coming on and do the podcast, man.
Thanks, Gil.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So go ahead and tell us where we can find you and what you got coming up.
Okay, my main thing is Instagram, and you can look me up at gilbertlouieray.band. That's Louie with an IE, not IS. A lot of people confuse it. We're going to play this Thursday at the Silver Lake Lounge in LA at 8 o'clock, full band. We're opening up for Yes Ma'am. They're on tour right now. And then we're also going to play at Tom Bergen's for the Big Top Bandstand Sunday, August 20th, around 4 o'clock p.m. Little matinee show, maybe matinee. Anyway, we're mostly on the Instagram. You can also check us out on YouTube and Spotify. It's all the same name, Gilbert Louie Ray. And thank you guys for listening, and thank you guys for having me.
Cool. You got it. And you spell Gil with one L or two L's?
One L.
Yeah?
And I hear yours with two L's.
Mine two L's. Am I
This is
just...
a first. This is a mind buzz first.
Yeah.
I only do.
We've never had another Gilbert on here.
Yeah, I only do one L just because the full name has one L anyway.
Mm.
Do you have
No.
two L's in your Gilbert?
No.
You're Gilbert, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you could do what you want.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, you know. Just do
Why
not
did
chip
it-
your tooth.
I think I went for the double L because, like, because when my friends first started calling me Gil, like, I didn't like it, which I don't know why. Like, I just didn't like it. Because I thought of like a fish.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
gills of a fish.
Yeah.
So I think that's where I adopted the double L, because I'm pretty sure that's how they spell fish gills, right? With 2 L's?
I think so. Yeah.
I think so.
So
I think so.
that's where I adopted it from. 2 L's.
Yeah. Oh, that's okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People, don't forget, we got Mind Buzz t-shirts.
Hey.
Finally go to mindbuzz.org to purchase. We put them on sale right now. There's only a few left in this style, so check them out. You want to look hot and sexy like me, like I am on the
Sorry, I didn't
podcast.
mean to laugh.
Check it out.
The Mind Buzz.
Peace and love. See you guys on the next one.